Well, hello, this is Kermit the Streamer. I am doing a BloomBurrow quick draft. This will be my first time drafting BloomBurrow. I did a sealed with it um, in person at a local game store. Um, so I don't know how this is going to go, but we're going to see. I think I did one premiere draft that I recorded. So this is going to be very new. Relentless Rats was a cool card from the old days. I don't know that it's a good card here in that because it's a rare, but I do know Dragonhawk is very good. I have it in my sealed pool and it is fantastic. Um, that seems like a fine curve topper, and there's honestly nothing else here that is just really calling out to me. Hard Claw is good. One at 1 mana, that's pretty doggone good, and that's one of these cards that actually does almost make me want to go here instead of here, but just this card was just so good. I can't leave it without taking it. Blacksmith's Talent. That gives us a sword. Yeah, I think it's just too slow, this card. Because by the time it does what you really want it to do, you've sank 7, probably 9 mana into it, maybe even 11. Take Out the Trash, though, is very good. It's a fine removal spell that just gets better if you have raccoons, which if we're playing red, which we are, we're probably going to have a couple of raccoons. And, we might get something like this 3-tree mascot that is a changeling. Let's take a look at these special cards, though. Since we've got all the time in the world, I guess I can talk about the other things here. Camellia the Seed Miser. Gives all your squirrels menace. It also has menace. Whenever you sacrifice one more foods, create a green squirrel token. 2 forage, you can put a plus. That's pretty doggone good. I am going to take that. Because we don't know that we're definitely going to be red. Take Out the Trash is very good, but Camellia the Seed Miser is also one of those cards that's just very good. I had this actually in my sealed pool. I just didn't play this one. Or no, sorry. I got it in my winning packs. I didn't have it in my pool. I opened it with stuff that I'd won. Not that exciting there. Nocturnal Hunker was very good. Early in the game, and really, it's almost always okay to give them the food. But it's also just fine to pay the life. I really liked Agate Blade Assassin in Sealed. I do not expect it to be as good in Draft. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the removal spell. There are some removal at 2 mana, but this basically gets any creature. You can pay the life, or you can give them a food, and most of the time, giving them the food is fine, in my experience. The Wraiths aren't so close that food is really a big deal, in my opinion. Stocking the pantry seems like it would be good if we were going to do the squirrel thing. I think the best thing we could do here, though, is go ahead and take a Mana Dork. This guy gives you 1 mana of any color, so this allows us to do the thing. It will help us play all of our cards. If we just have this one red card, the double pips are enough to scare me off of it. But something like 3-tree Root Weaver gets us the possibility of being able to play it. So, Head of Homestead, I think at 5 mana this card is just not great unless you're doing something very rabbity. I don't like Tangled Tumbler. Seaglaive Mentor. I like this, but I don't think that's where we're going. Conduct Electricity. It's a slow burn spell. Raccoon Rallier. Interesting. Coarseberry Cultivator. This wasn't impressive in my sealed because I didn't want to forage unless it was for something better. Like I had a reanimator guy, but I think this deck is gonna be interested in trying to forage every once in a while. So we'll go with the with the squirrel. Roughshod Duos. Is that the one? Oh, that one has done well in games against me. I don't think it's particularly great. True to the Spade is fine. We are going to have tokens, I think. Tree Guard Duo, fine. Peerless Recycling. That seems like it would be good if we have a go long kind of thing. And I do think we are set up to make that be a thing, so I like that. I like Peerless Recycling there. Uncharted Haven, to tap land that we can choose the color, which makes it pretty valuable. Frilled Sharpshooter was very good in an aggressive deck. It also has Secret Reach. I think we'll take that Uncharted Haven. I like the one that scries just ever so slightly. Well, actually this is better than the one that scries for what we're trying to do, I think. I really like Heaped Harvest, but I don't know if it's actually a good card. Share Pot is interesting because we get a food from it. I don't know if I I think it's an expensive, they always try to do this. They always have that artifact that is like an expensive removal spell, and there have been times when it's been a good card. But I don't think this is going to be one of them, even though it feels like they made it cheaper. I mean, sometimes it's a 1 casting cost artifact, sometimes it's 2, sometimes it's 7 to do the thing. This time, I think they hit a good balance with it. The fact that it gives you a food too was interesting, but I still think, especially in this set, that's just too slow. Now, the reason I'm interested in it though is because I do have a keen interest in foraging myself, and that anything that makes a food when it comes into play actually becomes kind of at least something you should be looking at, you know, not necessarily auto includes or anything. So one of the things that is like kind of worrisome about things like Coarseberry Cultivator is they sometimes can be like bad to have multiples of. Like the cool thing is whenever you forage, this thing happens. So if you've got both of them in play already, then you do the thing. But if what can happen is you've got one in play, you do some foraging to pump it up, and then you draw this guy late, and he becomes instantly less good because you don't have as much material to forage. And I just do not like Stargaze at all. Had 2 of those in my sealed pool, didn't even run them. Now, if you're running the bat deck, I think this can be quite a good card, but you gotta be doing the bat thing. So 3-tree mascot is interesting for us. I think it's worth doing here. I do like Dewdrop Cure, but you know, you gotta obviously be in the White Rabbit deck. And when I had it in my last deck, it was not a solid performer. I just got run over too hard by Trample and Menace, I think, did me in. I don't like the Sparkform Harvester, and True Top Tensories is just much better. We do really need to start looking in Pack 2 and Pack 3 for things that make food. I do think stocking the pantry is a thing that we're interested in doing. Conduct electricity, sure, I'll take it. It's probably not going to stay in the deck. Alania Divergent Storm. Oh wow. So if you gift a card, you get to copy all your spells. Seems kind of neat, because you could just be giving them a land, but you could also be giving them, you know, the material to beat you with. Um, Still very cool. I don't think it's for me here. I'll tell you what I do like. This Wondertail Mentor. Yeah, that's exciting here. So it's awkward because we are solidly sticking ourselves into 3 colors. Longstock Brawl is probably the better pick, but I'm gonna go with that Wondertail Mentor. What can I do with this Sticky Tongue Sentinel? This is a 3/3 that lets you return something to hand, and it's one other permanent, so it could just be a land. There are times when it's just a land and you just got a cheap 3/3 and it's fine. There are times when you return a come into play effect, like getting to play a Heaped Harvest and then play Sticky Tongue Sentinel. That could be a thing. I mean, that's kind of a slow play. Not exactly ideal. Bonebind Orator. That's interesting. I like that. I actually think that's okay. It's weird because you're parasitic here. You're eating away from your forage stuff, but getting to reanimate. Oh, it's not to play. The other guy, the rare, is to play. I think that's just too slow. It's basically a Gravedigger where they've allowed you to sort of get the bear side of it sooner, and then get the Gravedigger bit later. So it is a strictly worse Gravedigger for sure. So I think Sticky Tongue Sentinel. I like the idea of that card much better. Another Heaped Harvest. Stormcatch Mentor. Okay. Thornplate Intimidator. There's a deck that this really likes, or that likes this. I put one in like halfway through, and I was underwhelmed by it in my sealed. But it may actually be a really good card in an actual like dedicated rat deck. Certainly, if you've got some of the discard payoffs that exist. I like Wildfire Howl here, except for the fact that it's got 2 pips. That's a real problem. I'm going to take Heaped Harvest. But reason being, it's a food, so it fuels our forage. It also ramps us. Pawn Profit is welcome anytime in my deck. This is a great card to pick up here too, because Sticky Tongue Sentinel. The problem is that it is basically green. Feed the Cycle is probably, golly, it's probably the better pick. But we're not even committed to having black be a thing that we're really pulling from. I think what we can do here is if we can make our colors base green with just a little bit of splashing into red and black, that is probably the ideal thing that we could have happen. So Blooming Blast was really good for me, and it definitely killed me more than once. I hate taking a cheap early game. Like, I think I want my removal to hit at the 3, or if it's green, I want it to be 1 and 2. But I still think this is going to be fine. Make up for the fact that we passed that other one that does 3 earlier. Water's Overflow, what does that do? Oh, that's interesting. I think it's not a thing for us, though. I love Sazakap's Brew, but this is not that deck. I think another Sticky Tongue Sentinel is welcome. The Abundance of Reach features 3/3 reach creatures, and stronger is just really nice. Hidden Grotto I like. I don't really care for Bark Form Harvester. Junkblade Bruiser is a good top end for us. Yeah, that's a fine top end card. We probably don't want any more 5+ drops unless they're really good, and then we'll have to look at seriously cutting some of those. War Squeak, fantastic card when you've got an aggressive deck, I think. I still think it's a fantastic card even without necessarily, but this is not the deck that capitalizes on War Squeak, I don't think. Brazen Collector. I think I'm gonna science it. I don't want a bunch of these, but the food that I get from this Brambleflower Share Pot is really more the thing. Like it's a cheap way to make some food, and then if the game goes long, it does the other thing. It's also a great card to bounce with the Sticky Tongue Sentinel for that reason. Might of the Meek, that's an underwhelming card. There's nothing for us here, so I'm going to take the Thornplate Intimidator and probably not run it. Raccoon Rallier, not excited about that pick either, but it's okay. I actually think this is one of the better versions of this that they've made. They always make one of these. I think it's one of the better versions. I am going to take this Wildflower Howl. Most of our creatures survive this Pyroclasm. I didn't even know this card existed. I was asking at the sealed whether there was a Pyroclasm, and no one seemed to know. Guess nobody got cheesed by it. But this is a perfect answer for those go wide token decks, and we don't have that. We have more of the maybe we'll make a few squirrels with Camellia at some point kind of deck, but we're mostly just trying to have our guys be decent when they hit the table. Valley Rally, Slow Trick, but I think a good one. Don't know if it's going to stay in the deck. Ledger Shredder. Oh, nice. I love the art on this. I love this card. It used to be a mainstay in some of my blue decks. And it's nice that it's staying in the standard rotation because of this. I like that. Misbreath Elder, what do you do? Ooh, that is fantastic. We can bounce. This bounces a creature. So the ones that we're looking to bounce are things like Pawn Prophets right now. There are some other cheap creatures that we'd be very interested in having this work with. I would also take the Thoughtstalker Warlock. I do like Sinister Monolith, but I think it's more of a sealed card. Daggerfang Dio is actually really good too. Oak, so I'm hoping that we get one of these back. We could take a third Cultivator, and it wouldn't be thrilled. What is Okalo Village? I think Okalo Village is okay. It rarely does its thing. If Quake Test Boar is interesting, we're not the deck that wants that. But I do think this Misbreath Elder is great, and hopefully we can get a couple more creatures maybe that have some sort of enter the battlefield effect. Polywop is just a great thing for us here. If we have a frog, it's a 3-mana fight, and sorry, it's a bite, and it's a big one too because it doubles the power. So it's a little bit more expensive than this kind of spell usually is, but you can actually use one of your puny creatures to do a decent amount of damage. So it's really good, and it satisfies one of the things we really need. We need our removal to be in green so that we can cast it on time. Oh, this is what I wanted. Sunshower Druid. This is the kind of card that we love to return to hand as many times as we can. Reptilian Recruiter. No, that's a boring card. Curious Forager. That's actually really good too. But I do think, well, and this is a nice one to bounce as well. But I think Sunshower Druid should be the pick. Whisker Skill Scribe. I like this a lot. Veteran Guard Mouse is a little too slow. It's a cool card. I like that it's a bridge, and that you can play it in those red touching, white touching decks, but I don't think it's what we need. Ruthless Negotiation, actually, they get to choose. They have to exile the card, and then you get to do it again later. For 1 mana, I think that's okay. I mean, what this is basically doing for you, for me, is it's giving me either an easy forage, or it's letting me do a late game exile because the first thing you get is not going to be impressive. The next thing you get when they only have 2, maybe 3 cards in hand is probably something useful, unless they play smart and hold back a land or something. But even still, if they're holding back a land, that could be something really good. I really like Mind Drill Assailant. I don't think this is the deck that wants it, though. Mind Drill Assailant is good because it allows you to play sort of more of a control game. And that was in sealed. I just don't think in draft that the games are going to be slow enough for that card to really shine, unless you have the dedicated mill deck. Bone Cage Overseer. This is the guy. This is the one that actually gives us oh wait, no, that's not the one. But this is still good. So that basically he can do this pay 1 life, draw a card effect anytime we forage, or anytime we've sacrificed a food in a turn. So that's good. That's not the one I thought it was, though. I thought it was the other one. So we've got 3 really good choices here. Eggblade Assassin, Bone Catcher, Overseer, and Polywop. And I think Polywop is just the best of the 3. I like Scales of Shell. It protects something for us and gives us a little lifelink bump, but I don't think it's the right pick here. I think I'm just going to go with a sort of a safe pick. Fountainport Bell would be fine. Actually, Fountainport Bell is probably ever so slightly better, because what we're doing with Fountainport Bell is we're just guaranteeing that our lands happen, and also helping us with the 3 colorness of our deck, and then also filling up our graveyard with a little cycling card, basically. Another Sunshower Druid is welcome. Get that in there. A 3rd Heaped Harvest. That seems fine. It's better than anything else here. And getting to where we've got too many Corpseberry Cultivators. The only thing that's positive about having 3 is, we're pretty well guaranteed to always have one on turn 3. So I think I'm going to go ahead and do that. I don't want any of these cards, so I'll just grab one of the uncommons. Psychic Whirl. Do we have rats? I don't know that we do. Raccoons don't count as rats. Yeah, we don't really have any rats. So Psychic Whirl would be an interesting card. It becomes infinitely better if you have rats. But I do think that it's a good card for us here. It's definitely better than Reptilian Recruiter. That's not a thing we're going to do. Ever. Whisker Quill. Alright, so I like what we've got here. It's not like top tier, I don't think. We're missing really. I mean, we've got 2 decent rares, but they're both going to be difficult to cast. And that puts us under a little bit of pressure. The Junkblade Bruiser is worth running is it? It's a pretty big backside on that thing. And the castability is pretty high for this deck. Thornplate Intimidator, no, get out. We're just not going to be expending 4 all that often, I don't think. Could be wrong about that, because the key thing about expend, everybody should know by now, is that it is spells. It's not activated abilities or anything. Some people at my pre-release thought that that was how it worked. But that is not how it works, in fact. So most of the time, you're going to be playing 2 spells a turn, or you're going to be doing the Eldrazi thing and just playing 1 spell to get your expend. And, you know, swinging as a 6/6 if you get your expend makes it okay. The fact that it has trample is really the key thing. Sticky Tongue Sentinel is interesting here because it does allow us to bounce some things and give us maybe a little bit more extend reach type capability. Okay, so we don't want... I think what we're going to try to do here is we're going to try to minimize our other colors that are cheap. We want our stuff to be green. This is a primarily green deck that happens to have some red and black. So that means when we're on the chopping block, it's those red and black cards that have to go first. Can we afford to run 3 Corpseberry Cultivators? Just guarantees that we always draw one, kind of, is what I'm thinking. It's really good that we have some cheap creatures too that do some come into play effects with this Mist Breath Elder, because this can definitely be a liability very quickly. And you know, he's not a guy that you drop on turn 1. I mean, I guess you could, because he still gives you a 2/2 blocker. But and you know, an interesting thing here too is that what it does for expend, and it is creature on this. The Sentinel can get a permanent, so we can do things like return Brambleflower, Share Pot with the Sentinel, but we can't do that with the Mist Breath Elder. But I mean, that's just kind of neat, because it is going to allow us some ability to do some expend shenanigans, possibly. So Hoarder's Overflow could be a thing. I really think that card is just going to be too slow for it to actually be doable. Sticky Tongue Sentinel also can get us back a Heaped Harvest. So we want to play lots of lands if we can, and just do things. When we play Magic, do things. So it is very hard to cut down from here. I think 3-Tree Mascot's cute, but I think it probably has to go. Maybe we don't need so many Heaped Harvests. They are food still, and our deck wants food. Yeah, I think 2 Heaped Harvests, 2 Corpseberry Cultivators. Yeah. Ruthless Negotiations are cute, but not a thing for us. We're basically running black for Camellia and Nocturnal Hunger. both good enough cards. We can afford to go down one. Fewer swamps. We've got 8, 16, 17 lands right now. Basically 9 forests, 6 mountains, 4 swamps, depending. It's the funny thing about Uncharted Haven is that, yeah, you lock it in, but theoretically we're going to play in such a way that we lock it in to what we need precisely. And I can see me messing up with this Uncharted Haven for sure. And sometimes you're going to mess up just by nature of the fact that you don't know what you're going to draw next. But we do have a lot of ways to get the land that we need in Fountain Port Bell, and 2 Heaped Harvests. Joy Tree Mascot also does a little bit of work there. So I'm going to go down to 4 mountains, 9 forests. Because again, we really try to do the thing here where green was more of our primary color. And that that's fine for casting cards like this. That's fine for casting cards like this. It makes it harder to cast Nocturnal Hunger. Makes it harder to cast Wildfire Howl. So what Wildfire Howl can do is 3 damage to one thing, but 2 damage to everything else. And I do think this hits enough of our stuff that it's got to go. It's hard to cast anyway. Very good card. I'm going to be very sad when I get completely run over by rabbits, and could have cast that spell, but more than likely I'm not going to cast it till turn 4 anyways, so the damage will probably already be done by the time that actually pays off. Stocking the pantry is neat, but it might be too slow for what we're trying to do. Or it could give us the critical mass that we need. Alright, Nocturnal Hunger. You gotta go. Golly, I don't like doing that though. I'll tell you why. What the heck? The reason I don't like taking the hunger out is because it's unconditional. See, Polywallop, I have to have a creature on the table, and it has to resolve. That creature has to remain on the table for it to hit. Nocturnal Hunger, I just have to hit. Like, I just do the thing. I get to do it. It's somewhat unconditional. I may have to pay some life, or I may have to give them a food, but those are costs I theoretically can afford to pay. I do think Junkblade Bruiser is going to go, even though we have lots of potential there. I think we can do the job with the cheaper creatures, though. It's sad to get rid of the guy that has trample, but and then basically we've got a 41st card in Fountain Port Bell, which, I was experimenting with the idea of Fountain Port Bell being worth like maybe a land. But I'm not sure that I'm willing to go fully in on that. So I think what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to be a big chicken and play it as my 41st card. And I think that's the way it's going to go. So I'm going to save this for now, come back after a break, and we'll see how these matches go. Oh yeah, let's come up with a crafty deck. A crafty deck name. Active Forage? No, that's not it. Frog Stalker. Because what we're going to try to do here is we're going to try to use things like Sunshower Druids with the Mist Breath Elder to use stocking the pantry to get some card advantage. And then we're just going to try to make sure that we're always making foods, filling up graveyards, and foraging as much as we can. So I think Frog Stalker is going to be our thing. And I think this deck has a pretty fair amount of synergy to it that's going to be... I'm looking forward to it. We'll see. Alright, so that's it for now. And I'm going to go have dinner and then maybe play a little bit later. Thank you. This has been Kermit the Stringer. Have a great night.